The views and opinions expressed in these historical letters that may contain vernacular used in the World War II era, the post-war era, and the Cold War era do not reflect the views and opinions of any of the individuals involved with this project, including, but not limited to, the podcast's creators. Morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Allison.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm very, very good. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good. I just finished my coffee and I said I wasn't going to get a refill, and I think I'm still good. I'll survive this one episode. Everybody, we have a slightly shorter episode today. The episode that we recorded previously and was posted was a bit long. We try to keep the episodes around an hour. I even cut like 10 minutes out of that to keep it under an hour and a half, but it was like an hour and 20 minutes. So we're like, you know what? We're going to go in, and I recorded two narrations here. We have two letters in 3 parts. That's it. So if you're like, just need a little bit of a, there was a lot going on last week's episode. We heard about the birth of Frank and Maida's 4th child. And there was happy news, a lot of updates. If you missed the picture last week, check out the gallery of Sweetie up on a ladder on the side of the house with hammer and chisel, working on the side of the house, upsetting all of the very proper ladies at Doylestown, I am sure, in the 1950s, not being a proper housewife when she's up on a ladder in trousers. But it's one of my favorite pictures. So lots of things. But today we're going to kind of take a step back, go over some other things, and then next episode, we're going to be heading into some more material and things as we progress towards the fall of 1952. But yeah, so Jamie, I think it's been some interesting content. It's neat that now she's kind of, Sweetie's kind of settling in Doylestown. It's been about a year since she's been there.
And she did live in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So she was becoming familiar with things. And so, she's starting to get an idea of like the big area. But now she's in Doylestown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At the very beginning, like this is not a huge place yet.
No.
Right.
It's big for the time. It's certainly, the biggest place in the county. Maybe other than Ben Salem. We haven't heard about them, but they're probably the other biggest municipality in Bucks. And that remains the case to this day. But Doylestown's going to grow significantly over the coming decades, and she's kind of at the 50s is an interesting time because it's post-war.
Right.
It's all that post-war boom and production and things like that. Doylestown's going to see that. We're right at the start of it. And we're not hearing about too much of it yet, but it'll be a feature throughout all the years as they're there. Actually, Jamie, I just went on Thursday. I took up the offer to go talk to the archivist, John. Shout out to John over at the Doylestown Historical Society. I took over some documents because I told him I'd bring some over so he could see what we were working on. And I took over some old Broward documents. That's going to be a whole bunch of bonus content in the future as I'm working out the Darst genealogy all the way back. We have deeds going back, wills going back to the 1700s and all sorts of things. And, you can see it's like, oh, man, treasure trove in their attic. But I took over one binder. It was the 1952 letters. I said, we're in 52 right now. And I had him page through, and it's about that thick when you put all the letters together. And he was paging through. He's like, this is amazing that she wrote like this. And I said, oh, that's just 1952.
Yeah, that's one year.
Yeah. So I was like, we're going to have to do some things. There's some artifacts. I have some very interesting artifacts from like 1860s that were clearly part of Darst's collection that are in perfect condition. They look like wedding invitations you'd get today. So I think in the coming years, we'll probably be doing some stuff with the Doylestown Historical Society as they're just like, this is really, really great. Audio
That is
listeners, that was just open mouth expression. But, yeah.
This is fun too because in the last episode she met with somebody from Mr. Cunningham. Was it Mr. Cunningham?
Yeah.
From the Historical
Perfect, yeah.
Society.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very fun year this year for the podcast because we are in July. Like our first letter today is from July 23rd, and we're in July right now. So it's actually it's July. Oh wow, it's very close.
It's July 25th when we're recording this. Yeah.
But we're like in the same time of year as Sweetie is, so we can like understand, like, because she's going to go into some things about it being the weather's hot and all that stuff, and we're exactly at the same place. I love it. I hope that we can stay in the summer for the summer and not get till fall, but we'll see, because this year has been the most volume that we've seen.
Oh my gosh,
since we started. Yeah,
Jamie, I was transcribing 1954 and got some more progress made. 52 is a big year. 54 it may be the biggest.
Oh, geez. Okay. So I think that does mean that we are going to be probably omitting some letters.
Yeah.
There will be some letters that we will not be doing on the regular show of the podcast. Perhaps they'll come back as bonus content later on, but we are probably going to be skipping things that are not, that are repetitive and that are not important to the story at that time. So yeah, so we have these, I do like that we're kind of taking a break from the longer episode today, and we're going to do a nice little short one. And this is nice stuff. This is like nice little letters. So, but our first letter today is a family letter that she writes on July 23rd.
363 North Main Street, Doylestown, Pennsylvania, July 23rd, 1952. Dear Mama and Papa, and the rest of the family, I shall take time to drop you a short note now, as I am to go over after G-Mom tomorrow morning, and while she is here, I don't get the usual tasks done, so I usually rush to do what I feel must be done before she gets here. It is hardly worth my while, or here either, to go over after her, for she is content to stay for such a short time. I suspect, though, that she gets full up to here with those kids, and just a day away is something of a relief for her. Of course, she still holds with some of the 16th century methods of child care, which, of course, Elizabeth does not agree with. And I suspect the air gets a bit thick at times, and we are something of a relief valve. Besides that, Elizabeth's house is designed as first cousin to an oven of some kind, and when they don't sleep very well, their tempers are short, and she needs to come over here to rest in the coolth of this house. Besides, Lewis has been begging me to go and take him to see the greatest show on earth, the movie adaptation of Barnum and Bailey's Circus, and so I shall kill 2 birds with 1 stone, providing the convention doesn't get too hot to leave. I am feeling perhaps a little better these past couple of days. The headache is on the decline, but I just haven't the gumption to push the fat around to do the things that need doing, and besides, I must admit, I use the convention as an excuse to encourage my laziness, for I want to be sure I won't miss anything. The heat is most oppressive, with such high humidity that I keep telling myself, I'll get back into the swing of things when there is a break in the weather. However, as soon as it does cool off decently, I'm going to make arrangements to go and have my eyes examined, if I can do so, either at the Naval Hospital or at the Army Hospital in Valley Forge. Anxious as I am to have you come to visit, I'd hate to think of your traveling in this weather. It is awful. We have had 3 cool, heavy showers with the accompanying lightning and thunder, but they did not bring relief from the awful stickiness. There was a big barn struck by lightning day before yesterday, and burnt entirely to the ground with its new load of hay, and they estimate the loss at $20,000, enough to make me weep, and it isn't mine either. Luckily for us, Lewis bought an old fan at a sale for $25, thinking it just might be fixed, but we found upon plugging it in, all it needed was to bend the prongs of the plug a little, and it has been our salvation these hot nights, though I confess to more than a small twinge of conscience when I'm going off to sleep and think of Miss Darst without any fan. We put it in the doorway between Lewis's room and ours, and by moving the bed out a little, we can each get a breeze as it swivels around. I don't know how we'd have managed without it. And sister, as you joshed me about our finds from the dump, let me say that Lou went down to the dump to take our cans and junk, and come home with somebody's discarded hose that he fixed with some clamps the Navy so graciously donated to the cause, and we've enough hose now to spray the side of the house to cement, and that saved us a tidy little sum right there. Received 2 letters from Jean yesterday containing the poem and the clipping of the picture of Barbara. I was surprised to see her so grown up. I wonder just how old she is. Could see quite a bit of resemblance to the baby pictures, particularly around her mouth, and wished I could take off the bathing cap to see her hair and the rest of her face. I somehow feel sorry for Mary. Maybe wasted sympathy, but she seems rather pathetic in her letters. You did not say whether you wanted the letters and the clipping returned. Do you? I'm sorry to hear Glenn lost to the other guy in the golf tournament. Is that the guy who originally entered his name in the tournament? I was hoping he'd trim him right down to size and wonder if Glenn didn't let him win, rather than promote hard feelings. Your telling of Bill's building the new addition onto the kitchen is interesting, and I was interested to hear he had lost weight from his additional work. Lou is thin too, and I blame the heat and extra work, along with a slump in appetite for it. He sweats till his clothes are wringing wet, and all that combined is hard on him. If I sweat as much as he does, I'd probably lose some weight too.
Yeah. There's I like this letter just because, we're continuing on with some of the activities of the house, but it's just the day-to-day. And we do get mentioned, and we're going to hear more about this in the second part of the letter that we're about to play, of the conventions going on. So that's just the reminder to everybody, this is a presidential election year. This is the election of 1952. Again, we'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, so it's hot. There's some sales. It's the everyday things that Sweetie's thinking about.
Yes, and I like how she talks about the house, and she's like, their house is cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's designed to be that way. Like if you go, I used to have a house. I don't have a house. It's drywall now, but it used to be out of plaster. And they're like, you can tell if it's a plaster house. You put your hand on the wall. It's cool. It keeps that coolness. And I was like, poor G-Mom needs to leave Elizabeth's house and come to a whole brand new house just to get cooled down. Like the poor thing. And then you're right, Miss Darst too. Like she's like, I feel bad for Miss Darst. And this was, I wonder what the temperatures and stuff were at that time. Not that we don't need to go back and look. It's okay.
We're doing, there are pretty good weather recorks. The meteorologists, they're not like the train historians to that level, but they're up there. We haven't talked about the weather historians, man. They look at some stuff. The weather historians, like the temperatures on record, like per day, it's up there with those train logs.
I was going to say, is this like a train person?
Yeah, it's
weather
on
people?
That level.
Like,
the weather,
like
the people,
level?
the people that look into historical weather. We're talking about a house now. She's just talked about in the previous letter, because they're working on the pointing, that the addition was built in 1836. The original house was late 1700s. When people built houses in the late 18th and the early 19th centuries, heading into the later 19th century, they weren't planning on taking them down anytime soon, and they had really great ways of angling the houses as such to face the right side so the sun comes up, and to keep things cool at certain times, because they don't have AC or anything, of course. So the fact that the house that they're in at North Main Street is cooler than the probably newer built house that Elizabeth has is because it was probably built and designed with that peak efficiency just of its own time. And we've lost that in a lot of ways. Now it's just like, okay, here's the street, and a house's angle, all sorts of different ways. My parents, when they built the house that I grew up in, they designed it specifically in the colonial style to be angled and to be more energy efficient. They barely run the AC. It was just super, super hot. And they had one fan going and one wall unit that they've been using since I was a kid. And I think that's why she used the word cooleth.
I can hear
cooleth.
The G-Mom's like, I need the cooleth.
Yeah.
Probably on the phone with Sweetie, talking to her about
the warmth of
the oven house. Well, and I think that's a very good point too. Like a lot of these newer builds, like we're seeing the quality in construction go down. We don't have that. Like you don't spend the amount of time and money. Corners are cut. This is why we have inspectors. But those, that gets past them too. She did say, I'm going to go through here a little chronologically. She needs to have her eyes checked. She hasn't had her eyes checked in a while, and she needs that to happen. So if you haven't been to the eye doctor recently, anybody go. I'm actually going in a couple weeks. But I have to every year because my eyes are horrible. So she's dealing with this horrible weather, and it's rough this time of year, and we've been dealing with it too, like the storms, and we've been dealing with the humidity. The other day I could barely breathe, and it wasn't the fire smoke, it was just the humidity. And that's really sad about the thing. Barn. This I wanted to talk about. Sister, I'm sure, said one time, made a joke, and Sweetie has not been able to let it go.
No, this has happened for a while.
Yeah, she keeps bringing up, she's like, sister, you know how you say about me? Well, guess what we just did. And I bet you sister's like, you know what, Sweetie? I said it one time.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
And then I love how she says, you know, like how Gene would donate, the Iowa PAC would donate to the cause, and now the Navy's donating to the cause too.
I'm sure the Navy's donated a lot to the cause over the years.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then, you know, Glenn's in a golf tournament, and that's really, Glenn's very like athletic. He does a lot of stuff. He does a lot of stuff, although he lost. Okay, so they are dealing with the heat, dealing with the everyday, dealing with the getting the stuff done and trying to get things done. And also like enjoy life to take Lewis to the movies and hang out with family. So yeah. So we got the second half now.
I followed your plan of buying a dressing and stamping cards ready to send, but that isn't any assurance that they get to the mailbox on time. Today is Elizabeth's birthday. I think she is 39. I got the card in the mail only yesterday, and so I'm doubtful that she'll get it today, even though I had it ready to go, sometime in June. Having them ready is conducive to complacency, and therefore negligence. I want to tell you that I'm trying to train Lewis so that his eyes aren't too big for his stomach. I keep telling him if he takes an apple, he has to eat it all, not just part and then quit. Well, yesterday he had to have a banana to eat monkey style after having had cream of wheat. I was reasonably sure there wasn't room enough to accommodate the one he picked out, and tried to warn him not to take it. He'd manage. Well, he did for a while, and I could see the bites being chewed longer before finally being forced down, and I could see him eyeing me with the idea of somehow getting out of it. Well, finally, when he was about 2/3 done, he came into the kitchen and said he just didn't think he could get it down. I said, "Oh, yes, you will. You said you wanted it, and so you're stuck, and this is just a sample of how it is going to be from now on. You think carefully before you take another one." He wandered off for just a minute or two, and then came back in, laid the banana down on the side of the stove, and then gave out with a nerve-crashing and ear-shattering boom, and said, "Well, that's just a sample of what's going to happen around here, 'cause if I eat one more bite, I'll explode." And with that he turned and dashed outside before I could do or say anything. The echo of my own phrase made me giggle, and then I couldn't grab him by the hair and make him eat it, as I was first tempted to do. The little bugger knows if he can get me to laughing, he's safe, for how could I knuckle him and giggle at the same time? I must say that he is a rather soft-hearted individual, and perhaps more thoughtful than you'd think. There is an old widower who lives next door to us, and Lewis has always been concerned about him. He reminds me to a certain extent of Grandpa Demery in appearance, and the other day, when he was sitting out on his porch swing, I confess he did look pretty lonesome, and Lewis asked me if there wasn't something he could do for Mr. Strauss. So we fixed up some cookies in a napkin, and Lewis took them over to him. Would have asked him to come over and eat with us, if I hadn't put a damper on him. Meat's high, you know. Well, it is getting so hot up here now that I'm stuck to the chair and the typewriter keys, and since I've one more brief note to write, I'd better be about it, and then get downstairs to see how the convention is coming along. Besides, the breakfast dishes are still sitting, and the crowds of dust fuzzies are gathering, and I think I hear an argument outside that could probably stand some refereeing, so I'd best be about my chores. This will probably have to do you for a couple of days, as G-Mom will be here, and my time taken up. May be able to write you a brief note, though. Does look as though Stevenson was going to take the nomination, doesn't it? I will say, though, that Miss Darst, being an artist for so many years and studying the shape of heads in relation to brain structure, has said his ears are a bit too high to suit her, and that spells certain defeat, as far as she is concerned. That is fast becoming a stock phrase around this house when an argument is in the offing. We just yell at each other, "Oh, well, your ears are too high anyway," and by then everybody is laughing, and the argument has gone up the chimney. She doesn't see very well, you know, and insists that the men speakers are wearing toupees, or else the TV light shining at an odd angle makes a glare on bald heads, and she insists they're wearing some kind of skull caps, or the women have on peculiar hats, or the microphone in front of a speaker makes him look like he has a black ornament hanging right at his mouth, or across his white shirt front. Must say we probably got more laughs out of the convention than you poor folks could ever get. But on the other hand, you probably got more out of the speeches, as there's less interference in the aside comments. She thought Mrs. Roosevelt's hat last night was just beautiful. I will say Mrs. Roosevelt's poodle cut left me somewhat open-mouthed, but I nearly guffawed when she said she thought it was such a lovely hat she had chosen for the occasion. Well, what are you going to do? Love to all of you. Sweetie.
That is so funny. It makes me very happy that Sweetie really enjoys watching the conventions. I feel like, oh, good. Sweetie likes doing that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
Because, I'll sit there and watch the libertarian conventions and stuff and spend my time doing that. And I'm like, why am I doing this?
Sometimes in person.
Sometimes in person. But I like
goodness.
that she keeps up on that kind of stuff and is able to now because they have a television.
Yep.
And then the commentary from Miss Darst.
That had to be the best.
Oh,
that has to be the best. Yeah.
The ears comment.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, your ears are too high anyway.
That is the title of the episode, everybody. That is where we get the title, because had to. Your ears are too high anyway. So you can use it at work this week. That'll be fun. Try to insert that into your daily life. Have a Darst original. And now you know the context of it is when listening to 52 conventions. And judging a ton of people and what they're wearing, that's what it's going to be. Now, before we get more into the convention, because we will talk about what happened at the convention of 52, at least for the Democrats. At this point, the Republican convention is winding down. They're happening at about the same time, and we know what happens there. Eisenhower gets the nomination, and spoiler alert, if you know your history, is going to win
it for everybody.
Shocker! Eisenhower wins. Yeah, it's not the Dems, but we'll talk about the Democratic convention. Let's show some pictures of some people who I think have probably been lost to time for the most part, except in a few people's memories. Going back to the story, Jamie, you wanted to talk about the story about the banana.
Oh my god! Well, and with the whole ears thing too. This is a funny family.
Yeah,
they're funny, and Lewis coming up with that line about exploding and then running off.
And we remind everybody, Lewis is 6 years old at the time. He's pretty quick with regards to the humor. But he's also equally kind, because we get this little story of the neighbor, the old widower, who she spells the name wrong, Strauss. It's spelled like the composer, actually. But that's Ulysses Grant Strauss. We've talked about the neighbor before. And this is if you're sitting on the front porch, which is no longer there, of 363 North Main. This is to the left. So any of our listeners who are members of the Doylestown Lutheran Church that sits at the position here, your church is built on his property, so that house is gone. But that's who was there before, and he's a much older gentleman. But just the idea of taking cookies to the neighbor and being like, she knows this kid's gonna invite this guy over to dinner. We're gonna have Darst and Strauss and probably all of the people of Doylestown randomly over at North Main Street before long. So. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very sweet. She like I said, we talked about it before. She loves her son, and he's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. Yeah. So let's talk because we have not taken a history break.
Yeah, we need
for
to
a little bit. Yeah, so I'd love to hear about the convention.
Yep. So in the summer of 1952, we see the very traditional convention style. And we just went through what I'd say in 2024 was very non-traditional conventions, especially for the Democrats. I mean, maybe it was the first time some of our listeners watched a Democratic convention. 2024 was not typical in any way on like either side of any party.
Right.
But the Democrats it was basically an appointment, when everybody votes and says, yeah, that's the person. This is the rounds of convention votes going on that Jamie and I are extremely familiar with from the Libertarians, because we will duke it out for last place. We will, oh my goodness, we will go time. I was at the 2024 Libertarian Convention. I'm just going to give like a quick little rundown, because in all the craziness of 2024, our audience, I would assume most of you, had no idea that there was a Libertarian National Convention. It was held in Washington, D.C. Those of you that do know that Trump showed up to it. I was there at the Trump event, which is the first time any former sitting president ever appeared in the 50 years of the party at a Libertarian National Convention. So it was interesting, to say the least, that weekend. But we went into 7 rounds of voting for the presidential ticket. And it was just the president, because we also vote on the VP. By the time it was done, and C-SPAN was still recording to 7 rounds. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. Let me tell you, we go into rounds of voting. So this is what's going to happen at the Democratic Convention in 1952. They're going to go through 3 rounds of voting. The Democrat National Convention in 1952 was, let me get the date here. I want to make sure we have the right dates. It was in Chicago, Illinois. So, hey, was Frank there? Probably not. He had better stuff to do. Right. Oh, and you had said he just
had a baby.
He just had a baby. Frank probably didn't go, but I bet Chester was like, oh, it's right there. I could get there, because they do move around. It was July 21st to July 26th. And I have the conclusion. So after the 5 days about who was chosen as the nominee for the Democrats. But this is Adlai Stevenson's first time as the nominee. So it says, here's the front page of the Philadelphia Inquirer. This is Saturday morning, July 26th. Stevenson chosen. Wins on the 3rd ballot after, I think the pronunciation here is Kefauver. Russell concede. Says he can't shirk the race. Truman hails the nominee on rostrum. So we get to see, I believe this is a picture here. Yeah. Governor Adlai Stevenson receiving the congratulations of President Truman. So there's Truman on the left, Stevenson on the right. I have a better picture I'm going to bring up on the screen of Stevenson here, as the two meet outside of Chicago's International Amphitheater shortly after the Democratic delegates nominated the Illinois governor as their presidential candidate. So he's in Chicago as the Illinois governor being nominated for president. And we've heard mention of Stevenson before in the letters. Sweetie's was hoping that Stevenson would get it. And he did get the nomination there. Also nice to see the Truman photo there. Let me bring up the picture.
Oh, this is, I just have to, I'm looking at some of the other articles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Kiefer?
I want to say Kefauver? Yeah.
Kefauver?
Yeah, that's a tough name to pronounce. It's going to be hard to run for a nomination with that name.
Yeah,
it's
just
going
say
to be tough.
Kefauver.
Everybody's trying to figure out how to pronounce your name.
Yeah, so it's not going to work. Stevenson's much easier. But Kefauver fights tears, vows aid to Stevenson. How awful. Mm-hmm. He just lost, and let's embarrass him. That was not very nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, moving on.
But here's the, let me bring it up here. I had a Democratic National Convention. So here's the picture of Adlai Stevenson. He was the nominee. He's going to be the nominee in 56 as well. We never had a President Stevenson, so spoiler alert. But
Adlai.
Okay. Yeah, I like that first name though. That is a cool first name. And then, yeah, but there is some. There's other things going on in the world at the time. Now the Korean War is still going on. It's in that stalemate, of course. That, it being the forgotten war, it's really easy to just forget while we're even going through the letters that this is happening. Lose at the U.S. Navy working on the base. At any point, he can still be sent out. That's always going on. But it's really in that stalemate. But we do have some other news. There's 2 big things that I wanted to mention here. That to make sure we go over the news of July before we go into August. July the 3rd, rewinding a little bit. There's going to be a ship that's going to take a cruise, and this is going to be extremely relevant. And that is the first voyage of the SS United States is going to happen And this is going to come into play in season 4. So some people, especially around Philadelphia, we knew this is that giant ship that had been in the harbor. They just they're floating it down to, I think it's already down there in Alabama. It's going to become a reef. It had been gutted, but this is like a really phenomenal ship. I'm going to bring a picture of it on the screen here. All right. This ship was bigger than the Titanic.
Ooh.
Titanic feels bigger just from pictures because it's got those 3 smokestacks. This only has the 2, but this is 100% bigger than the Titanic. It's also still the fastest ship on record to cross the Atlantic between America and Europe.
To this day.
To this day, it has not been beat. There's the ship historians. Look, there's a lot of YouTube videos about the SS United States. And the speeds, like the, again, timetables. There's guys that like those timetables for the trains. They love them for the ships. So there's some guys that specialize in this. A certain someone is going to make a voyage on this ship in season 4. But I wanted to call this out because it being the fastest ship on record in ship history, it's good to call out that on July 3rd, 1952, it takes its maiden voyage. So when a certain someone goes on a trip, it's going to be really close to the time in which this ship went into operation, which is really, really cool. So we're going to talk a lot about this ship in the next season. The other thing to call out news-wise is, especially for people that have heard the opening lines from Andrew Lloyd Webber, Maria Eva Duarte de Perón, Evita. This is she's going to pass away in Buenos Aires at the age of 33. So Evita is going, which is interesting. Notice the date of the paper from the National Convention, July 26th. There's no word about Evita dying, right, on the front page. If we go back to that, yeah, but she passes away on July 26th in Buenos Aires. So for people that sort of, I know that there's a lot of like historians that look into Evita, and of course it's been popularized by the musical and the movie and all of that. That's when that's happening. So she's been Perón has been in power in Argentina, and she's going to pass away there. I'm looking at that page on that newspaper. Yeah. Now she had just passed away. I'll look at the 27th here real quick. Oh yeah, no, it's on the next day, on Sunday. Eva Perón, 33, is dead after long illness. So yeah. So
wow. Yeah, that is kind of a major thing.
Yeah.
It's going back and like I saw those pictures and stuff and thinking, the 50s, things were very similar to how they are today. There's definitely some changes, but it's like the basic day-to-day life. I'm thinking of stuff like they just didn't have those modern conveniences. They just didn't have like they had modern conveniences, just not to the level that we have today. Can you imagine what it would be like to be in a house like that, where you don't have like lights and fans, like AC coming on? My freezer came on the other day and I was like, what the heck was that noise? It's so loud. And then like, it being like super quiet.
Yeah.
I was just thinking like the stone house, and would be so
not as
different.
many cars on the road.
No plane, not as many planes.
Right. Yeah.
I live close to a helicopter repair place that repairs helicopters, so we get them quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. I'm near the hospital, so we hear the emergency helicopters going overhead at nighttime. So.
It's got to be crazy. So it's just like thinking about that. I was thinking about like how similar, but how different things are. Oh, but that was a really nice little letter. I think it was hilarious. First of all, that's great. Like Lewis, and Miss Darst. She's she kind of like, sometimes she doesn't like her, sometimes she likes. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah,
I think she appreciates that. Yeah, she appreciates her. Sometimes it's more fun to just watch commentary from other people watching things.
And Miss Darst too. Yeah. Like I'm glad that's how they are dealing with it. It's a laughing matter, so that's good. Yeah. Yes. Oh, but see, this is nice. It's a nice. This feels kind of like we're tying things up and stuff too. I really like it. So we do have one more letter, and it's a nice short one.
363 North Main Street, Doylestown, Pennsylvania, August 6, 1952. Dear Mama and Papa, Sisters, Florences, Franks, Jeans. I've been expecting some letters giving me what for not having written as I should have. There are many reasons for the neglect, but what's the use to list them? They are nearly always the same and prove disappointing reading. Have been enjoying Jean's frequent letters, and was surprised but pleased to receive the letter from M.A. Seems though she has taken a leaf from my book, for she wrote that she was sending me a clipping that applied to me, and yet forgot to enclose it. I do that often myself, so don't mean to sound hard on Nanny. Besides, it would be a good excuse for her to write again. It is possible that Jean sent me the clipping anyway about the young lady who carefully transplanted the pretty little plants that turned out to be poison ivy. Well, I haven't transplanted any, nor fostered any, but I've had enough run-ins that I may as well have. Right now, Lewis has it in several places. I warn him to keep out of it, but he just isn't very careful, and now I notice I've some on my upper right arm that I honestly believe I get from his clothes, as I haven't been any place to pick it up recently. I received the proofs of the pictures of Sister's kids yesterday, and coming on the heels of M.A.'s letter, I must confess I'm catching a whole mouthful of flies with my jaw at half-mast. My goodness, can they be that big? I just don't see how. Is M getting fatter, too? D is almost like someone else. I know him so slightly. But they are all good-looking kids, and without doubt you're so proud of them as you can be. Rightly so, rightly so. Mush is doing right well on her sewing, judging by the drawings of the blouses and shorts she's making. I've been hoping for a letter from the folks telling me when they were starting. I'm getting more and more leery as to their starting date and the satisfactory visit as time rolls on. You know this is the 6th already, and Lewis goes to school on September the 2nd, I think. I'm so afraid you'll get here late when it is time for him to start back, and then we'll stand little chance of getting around to see much of anything. Jean knows how we were tied down when they came, as Lewis was in school, and we just didn't have time to do much on weekends. You know, I'm not going to be satisfied with a week's visit, and you know yourself, once you're here, you'll have to make the trip worthwhile, so can't something be done with those OB cases? I'll enclose the list of things we need again. G-Mom came and stayed a week, instead of overnight, as we thought, and enjoyed herself sore that she cared to admit, particularly to Elizabeth, and wants to come again, but Elizabeth objected, saying, "Hey, you're taking my babysitter." Well, I've got too many things to do that I'm going to stop now, and will try to write you a better letter tomorrow. Thank you for the proofs of the pictures. We think they are all good, especially of the older kids. I shall try to go into detail later about our recent sad experience, but can't take time to do so now. We are much encouraged in our antique sales. We are now desperately trying to find some suitable and inexpensive stock, practically an impossibility at this time. We are also faced with our tax bill of $139.70, plus additional bill from the borough for the curb and gutter to be installed on North Street, and our back lot faces onto North Street at a cost of $1.15 per running foot, or $95.60. There isn't much chance of avoiding it, as they will go ahead and do the work and enter a judgment against us if we do not comply with their decision. So you see, I'm so busy worrying, I don't have much time or thought for letter writing, and besides, Lewis was up too late last night and is yakking and giving me a hard time. We'll write again soon. You do likewise. Sweetie.
That is, I totally get where she's at right now.
I hate taxes. Especially when you're charging stuff for something you want to do that the residents haven't asked for.
Yeah, there's no, like, hey, you're going to pay for this. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she is dealing with poison ivy again. Let's point that out.
Yeah. Thanks, Lewis.
Lewis did it.
Mm-hmm.
It was Lewis's fault.
Yeah.
Oh, and then she's seeing, I love how aunts will be like, "Oh, you're so big. Do you remember that?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, we find out, like, here is written documentation of Chester and Laura are kind of postponing their visit because he has some babies he's waiting on.
Yep.
So there's really nothing that can be done. He's the doctor. They're OB cases, so he's got a couple of he's got a couple babies that need to come.
Mm-hmm.
Aw.
But I mean, that's always going to be going on. There's always a feeling of delay with the Demarys getting out to the east.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, great. Okay, now there's another reason. This happened when they were in Kansas. This reminds me of the Hutchinson days when she's waiting for Jean to visit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about this. We just recorded the other episode and I'd posted it. We were talking about July 4th. She made the angel food cake that was supposed to be her father's birthday cake. And she's like, I'm just going to make it anyway. Test run. Remember when Jean was supposed to visit in Hutchinson, Kansas, and she got all this stuff for a cake and then Jean didn't come? It's the same thing. She's been through this mold. The cake just made me think about it. I'm like, come on.
I forgot all about that.
There's other doctors near Des Moines.
I know, but these are his patients. And I have a feeling I was the same way. Like when I worked, I was like, nobody can do my job as good as I can. I don't trust anybody else. So, but it's like, this is the summertime. Like she's like, right. He's going back to school soon. It's hot. We have all these projects. I'm trying to get stuff done because in the wintertime, that she's not going to be working outside and she's not going to be pointing the house in the wintertime.
Can we talk about G-Mom staying for a week? And then Elizabeth being like, wait, hold on a minute.
Wait, you want me to take care of my own kids? This is wrong.
Not my 70-year-old mother to do this for me in the oven? Otherwise known as house. So
Dit needs to go out. Dit cannot be chasing after these 3 kids.
Dit wasn't able to do Dit things that week.
I know. Oh, the horror.
Oh my goodness.
I'm very glad that she stayed a whole week.
Yeah.
I'm very glad she stayed a whole week.
Because
you know that Sweetie doesn't make her do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think they were sewing. They were probably watching news and just sewing most of the evenings.
Hanging out. Yeah. Just And Lewis is he's totally in summer mode too. He stayed up too late. He's he's bored probably because it's summertime and it's boring and hot. You don't know what to do. So she's kind of reaching that summertime end of the rope. And she wants her dad and her mom to come out so they can spend time doing the things in the summer that that she wants to do. And so it's sad. I'm kind of starting to get, I don't know. Yeah, I just because it's it just keeps, I know that we say and they're supposed to come and stuff and everything,
There's
but
always babies.
I know, it just seems like it's one thing after another. Maybe we don't want to drive out that far.
Yeah,
in this
right. It's fine though. In the middle of the summer last time, we'll just go to the Grand Canyon that we've been to before. That's a much further drive, Chester.
And it's hotter too. Right?
But it's a dry heat. It is a dry heat, yeah, versus the humidity of the East. Yeah, I think the Midwest, I don't know. If you're listening in from Iowa, I'm assuming it's not as humid in the Midwest, in at least Iowa. And Jamie, you're just out in South Dakota, so you faced that. What, did it feel humid out there when it was hot? Or was it more of a dry heat?
It's humid. It's humid.
Okay.
I mean, we went through Iowa. I was like, wow. I was like, I've never seen this much corn, and I'm from Ohio. But it's very breezy and stuff too. You saw the windmills out there. It was very humid. It was very humid.
Maybe it's more humid than I think it is. I guess it's really just the Southwest that has that dry heat then.
I bet you the Southwest, I bet you're right. It was nice. They enjoyed it.
Yeah.
At night, it's cool, but yeah. Oh my goodness. I really like these ones. These were nice. Yeah. These were nice ones.
She does give us a bit of a teaser going into next week's episode. She says there's something sad. She doesn't have time to write about it right now. She is going to pick that up. She's going to reference that she'd mentioned it, and we're going to hear what she's talking about in the next episode, which here's a little challenge for our listeners looking at the title of the next episode. The next episode is called Wistful House. This has been mentioned in a letter before. We're going to get the full context of that as well. Next episode, there's a lot of information coming, so we hope everybody tunes in next week. But a little lighter today, and we're winding down the summer soon, Jamie, and so is Sweetie as we head into the fall. I guess we'll find out if Chester and Laura are on their way.
Hopefully next week. Bye, everyone.